thrown by how fast correction starts, was a comment we got. Something we can work on. We're not trying to be jarring. I said last week we were taking corrections back to the studs. Many of you said the expression is down to the studs. That certainly might be the case in construction, in that field. But here at late night, when we make any big changes, we take it back to the studs, which is what we call the late night executives. Kenny, Ron, and JJ. And they're, they're always just kind of doing like light curls in their office. And it's great, because every time you go to them with anything, it's all, I'd say more often than not, it's like, follow your dreams. That's a lot like, don't start tomorrow. Like, don't start tomorrow, what you can do today. And they're just really supportive. Also, did think it was funny when I Google image searched 3 male studs. This was the first one that came up. So now everybody's doing bits. I know a lot of you might be thinking, I don't know if I'd Google 3 male studs on my work computer. I wait till he goes to the bathroom and I use shoemakers. There have been some complaints that the thumbnail picture we use in corrections often blows a joke. So now Lederman can use that. It doesn't ruin anything. Speaking of thumbnails, the thumbnail last week was me with a spider on my head, a big fake spider, and a lot of people said it looked like I was wearing a Rasta wig. That was on purpose. That was a FYC ad for The Brutalist. Hey, I had just a joke fragment, and I didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, why not corrections? Kind of sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, there might be something. And I put it on my phone. I don't think it's anything, but maybe here. Do you think I watched that Angelina Jolie, Maria Callas movie. Song Lady, I think it's called. Do you think every opera singer's worst nightmare is seeing an audience member leave with their rose? Okay, now we know. Somebody here's comments. I'm moving on to audience comments. Someone wrote, hey, Seth, are your wife and kids in therapy? I hope so, because I haven't seen them in months. Can I have a sip of my drink before the next one, because somebody came at me pretty hard. This Simon and Garfunkel joke was very lame, exclamation point. A long way to go for nothing. Was it, though? Because here's the thing with comedy. It is also about the journey. You can't just focus on the destination. I mean, sure, sometimes what we do here might seem like a tortured construction that leads to an unsatisfying punchline, but that ignores the time we spent together. Was Simon and Garfunkel for everyone? No. But I've been in this game for a long time, and I understand that sometimes when you tell a joke, it ends with the sound of laughter. And other times it ends with
the sound of silence.
don't you ever tell me I take a long time. I can always go longer. Also, the sound in that Sounds of Silence was a body of water because that was Salmon and Garfunkel. It was one of their classic parody songs. Garfunkel, we established last week, worked because of Gar is a fish, and someone said in the comments I should have gone with Salmon and Arctic Charfunkel. And to that person, all I will say is, you should start your own corrections. Someone wrote, was that a Bill Burr? No, bro, it was the Bill Burr. And then someone else said my Bill Burr sounds like Ray Romano. They couldn't be more different. Bill Burr's like, ah, ah. And then Ray Romano's like, ah, ah, ah. Bill Burr, ah. Like, Bill Burr's is like an attack. Ah! And then Ray Romano's like, been attacked. Ah! Someone wrote, why even do, somebody wrote, why even do corrections? Just fire your fact checkers and let the community do it. The funniest thing about that is fact checkers, plural. So here's the thing, we do send in a script, and we do have a fact checker go through everything. Then they email it to Emily, who's a producer on A Closer Look. And then I will sometimes hear Emily reading the fact checks to Sal as I walk by. And we had a real good one yesterday. Because I heard Emily say to Sal, it's not Randy Macho Man Savage, it's Macho Man Randy Savage. And we all laughed, and I said to Emily, oh my God, I wish I could have seen your reaction when the fact checker emailed you that. And then based on her reaction, I could tell that she hadn't needed to be emailed that. She had known that. But that's very not like, she had to pretend like she wasn't like a big wrestling fan. But it did make sense, because then I like cross-checked, and every time she said she's going to a yoga retreat, it does overlap with a city that was hosting a WWE event. And in fact, I said, she said she was going to a wellness retreat next month, and I said, where is it? And she said, the FedEx Forum in Memphis. I took out a bag of marbles last week, and a bunch of you said I was so nervous it was a return of celebrity baby teeth. That'll never happen again. Someone else wrote, there were 2 to 3 solid seconds where I thought Seth was going to choke on those marbles, and they were just going to show it. And that would happen. That would happen, because everyone, this whole staff knows they do not interrupt correction. There is no safe word for corrections. We talked about USB socks and looking for USB. You were looking for a sock charger. And someone said a USB charger for a heated sock would be the same as any USB charger. It's universal. That's what the U in USB is for. The U stands for universal, and SB stands for son of a bitch, I forgot it. SB stands for serial bus. Oh, the serial bus. Do you remember, Shu? Shu and I are a little older than the rest of the staff here, but do you remember the serial bus? Oh. You'd hear the song, and you'd grab a bowl and you fill it with milk and you'd run out. Oh, the cereal bus. I mean, I know, where everybody who gets old, they're like, times used to be simpler, but the cereal bus, it was, and I'd just throw the cereal, and you'd, and You yell out your favorite cereal, they just throw it. Oh. And just that, the panic, you know, because you'd hear, you know, you never knew in the cereal, and you'd hear the song, and you'd hope you'd have milk and a clean bowl. Oh. Just, I don't know. We showed this graphic. I want everybody here in the studio and everybody at home to pick a number in their head, a mental number, of how many total corrections I received for this graphic. Bernie Sanders' driver's license image was very incorrect. It should have been from New York, not the United States. In the 50s, when he was in high school, it was just a yellow piece of paper, not a credit card-sized piece of plastic. There were no pictures on licenses back then. It would have had his full name, Bernard, not Bernie. Back in the 50s, they were called operator license, not driver's license. There were no organ donor dots for another 3 to 4 decades. Also, it wouldn't use FNLN as abbreviation. Isn't his eye color brown instead of blue? The legal age when Bernie was 16, the legal drinking age when Bernie was 16, so he wouldn't have needed a fake ID. So, got that one pretty good. Joe Biden wouldn't say hashtag, he would say pound sign. Of course, we all know that Joe Biden's pound sign is when he lowers the Ray-Ban, looks at Jill and goes, again, I'm not making corrections for other properties or anything, but WTEN 10 ABC, a lot of people pointed out, we use you in a closer look, both Racines and Biden butchered. I don't know why this is now a thing, to just receive an unmarked envelope. You get like, oh. And then just another one of these. Then in this box, different person. This one came with a note. Hope all is going well with Alexi. The great Bees McKeever pointed out that this is, you know, we're living in trying times. You got to find joy where you can find it. And obviously, we spent a lot of time with our weasel/ferret circus, but you can't bring that with you. It's not mobile. So she made me this. It was a pretty fun time. That was a good little dude. So yeah, I got that now. Put me in a good mood. Okay. I think that's about it for today. Don't forget about me, Cereal Man! You know what the best thing is? This doesn't have to be the thumbnail. Arr! See me next week.